Okay, I'm getting a pattern started here, and I'm getting ready to stock some more wood up on the rafters. But you can see here I've got about a 36-inch overhang with that beam. Now normally I put an angle bracket in there to support it, but now that I'm using this 2-inch wood, it's plenty rigid. I don't have to do anything, so there's going to be a nice fixed window here, and it won't obstruct the view at all. So there's a little bit of a benefit to using this thick stuff. But I'll tell you what, it's heavy getting up here. Once you got your pattern started, like I do here, you just put pieces in. You don't ever want a joint to line up within 2 rows. It's actually better if 3 rows, but since I just started, from here on out, it'll be a butt joint, and then it'll be 2 rows, and then a butt joint. It's called an architectural pattern, I think. But okay, well, I got to stock up the rest of the wood up here. And then once I get rolling, we get to the base of that skylight. Then all the pieces are short, and they get cut to the same length for 4 rows, and then I go above them. Nice thing about sawmill lumber is they're usually pretty generous with lengths. Like, you buy 8-footers, but they're usually 97 to 100 inches long, closer to 100. Which in the case of what I'm doing, helps that a lot, because everything I'm building is 32 inches on center. But when you get to things like the overhang, you need a couple extra inches so that can have a 99-inch board. Well, guess what? I've got it. But I don't like handling anything bigger than 8-12 feet by myself. I mean, I'll do 16-footers sometimes on the foundations, but at 8-foot size is real nice for me. Okay, what we have here is a little issue that a board is not as straight as it needs to be. But back in the old days, we used to make tourniquets out of ropes. But since these ratchet straps came along, boy, there's something else. So what I'm going to do is ratchet this board together with that first row, pull it tight, and then nail it down. Probably put a couple extra nails in that board. But one thing, if you do this, be really careful. You're never looking down the line of the strap in case something were to snap, break, whatever. Because like they said to that kid in the movie, you can put your eye out. Okay, what I'm doing here is just, let me give you a better view. There we go. Crank it over a couple times. That's it right there. Okay. Now I'm going to nail it down. Grab my nail gun. Let me turn this off. Okay, I'm going to try and see if I can't get that tripod to hold this thing while I push this down. Well, that worked. Then go back in here. Generally 4 of these nails is enough. They're 3-inch ring shanks. They're galvanized. I use galvanized for everything I do, because if they get wet, I don't want them bleeding that rust through and messing up my pretty wood. Okay. Well, as you can see, we're making some progress here. Once you get going, the pattern just... Once you have the wood up here and everything's ready, it's really not all that much work. The real job, especially by myself, like I said, is just getting this stuff up here. But every once in a while, you just got to look around and enjoy the view, because it is pretty. That's why we're here. And here's the architectural pattern I was talking about. You got a butt joint, run through twice, then you got a butt joint. And you really have very little waste when you do it this way. I mean, you can look at the floor down there. Those are the lengths of the pieces that I'm wasting, no more than 10 inches. And sometimes I got a bad end and I get rid of them that way anyhow. So we're up to the point where this next row is where the skylight starts. Something I didn't mention, but it's important, is you notice the overhang. I've got it running a little bit long. I mean, it's pretty accurate right now, but it's going to get cut. I'll put a chalk line on that thing when I get the perfect square measurements for the roof. And, you know, calculate for the fascia board that goes on the outside of here that acts as the trim and all that stuff. But right now, I run it about 2 inches extra, and when I come back, I can cut it off perfect. Okay, when it comes to logs, it's kind of you've got to get average measurements a lot of times, because nothing's straight and perfect like it is with, you know, if you're doing this with timber. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take the distance between these 2 rafters, chop it in half, and then I'm going to go 12 inches on either side, and that's going to be my center mark, and I'll run square up with that. And I think this skylight's a 3 foot by 2 foot skylight, so I'll go up 4 courses, and then I'll line up these edges. Now you can cut them all right now if you want, which is probably what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cut them to that measurement, and I think it's 72 inches. So I'll do 72 inches, 4 rows both sides, and then I catch up at the top. Like I was saying earlier, sometimes you just got to look around. I'm standing on top of the roof now, and I can see the east Spanish Peak there, and between those two pines I can actually see the west peak too. So I bet if I was up another 15 feet I could see everything. Probably start seeing the Sangre de Cristos too. And this is the view looking to the southeast now. That's Raton Pass over there, and there's that extinct volcano, and there's Mesa Grande. That's 9,500 feet, so we're 1,500 feet below the top of that one. Right now, after I just laid out the skylight, I'm doing a little spot check because I know everything downstairs is parallel, and I'm sighting down my line here, and the planks of the floor of the loft, they're just lining up perfect. So that means everything's going nice and square, which means now what I can do is I can cut these boards for the sides of the skylights. Whatever this measurement is here, I can reproduce it for the 4, and my skylight will be nice and square with the roof. About yesterday at the sawmill, I've got about 80% ponderosa and 20% Douglas fir, so I'm going to start mixing in the Douglas fir now that I'm past the overhang where you're actually going to see it inside the loft. It's a real pretty mix, especially when you put the oil on it. Okay, I'm going down to shove up a few more boards, but boy, it's the first peek I get of it from down here. It sure is pretty. It's going to be really nice. This room is going to bring a lot of light in it, and if we ever decide to not use it as a bedroom, I'd sure love to use it as a studio, because my drawings and my paintings, it's perfect light to be able to see things. Now that's a quintessential ponderosa board. I mean, it's beautiful. Got knots, got the pink, got the blonde, and it just so ends up that it's in the pile where it's going to be very prominent. That's really nice. Well, it's a good day. 2 days in a row actually, getting that wood yesterday, getting it all sized and taken care of, and the cabin's totally sheathed in now, at least the main part, and the skylight's kind of my hatch to get up onto the roof. That's eventually where some solar panels are going to go, probably 4 of them, and mixed in the Doug fir with the ponderosa. It came out nice. Very happy. Well, folks, thanks very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. My friends asked me, well, haven't you been making more videos building the cabin? Well, quite frankly, it's a lot of work by yourself to keep jumping off and on to get the camera and this and that, but when I start finishing off the inside, building the cabinets and doing the floors and building the doors, I can do it then. So thank you again. Bye.